Hi everyone, so today's tutorial is about a card that I have designed and I don't think it appears anywhere else in the world. So here's a preliminary look at this. So what we have is a pretty card on the front, and when we open it, it's a stepper card, but I've done a different way of making it so that it's easy for anybody to do with, and we start with just A4 card. Okay, so there's lots of different variations. I don't like designing a card that just has one look to it. So I'll give you a quick look through some of the others. This is one, obviously a man's one, lots of room to do messages and things, but at the moment I've kept the images quite neat and not much fuss. Right, this one, friendship isn't a big thing, it's a million little things, and when you open it, it's a really big card to go on a mantelpiece, on a shelf, and there's plenty of room for extra pictures and things. Okay, so let's have a look at what we need. So first of all, from an A4 sheet you need to cut 15 by 27.5. So here's my piece I've cut ready, and we're going to score 5 centimeters both ways along the entire card. So we're going 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. This is an important bit left on. Turn it round and we're going 5, 10. That is our scoring done. So I'm going to put that to one side. Right, the leftover piece here we need to switch to be on the left. So it's important it stays over that side. Right, now we're going to cut between the second, 1, 2. I'm going to get a pencil in. I'm going to put a little mark there. So we're going to score between the second, going to cut between the second and the 4th lines there. And we're going to cut between the second and the 4th lines. So onto there, cut through and stop when you get to your mark. Okay. Now we're going to cut between the 3rd and the 5th on the next line down. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so I've now got a split here and a staggered split here. So starting at the top on this bit here where I've started the cut, I'm going to push that a little back. Pull that. So I'm starting that to move. Right. Then we're going to start that one moving back, and we're going to start that one moving back, and gently you can ease it so it collapses. Now you need to take your bone folder and we need to burnish those 3 lines, turn it over and burnish the lines on the back. That's taken some of the spring out of the card. go, that's the movement. And then we've got this piece here, the small flap. So we're going to take that and then going to bend that forward and burnish. Okay, so there's the start of a card. Now we need an extra front piece, 15 by 15, and that is going to cover the entire front of the card. Now I've got some spare matching card here, and I'm going to cut 15, so extend the cutter. So we're going on to 15, turn it round, and we're going to cut 15 that way. All the measurements are kept really nice and easy. So there's our piece there, that when it goes on the front, it completely covers the front. Now the nice thing about this is because it's such a big card, you can actually get it out of 2 A4 sheets. Okay. So I'm going to use wet glue, and I'm going to put wet glue onto here and place on the texture upwards, and I'm going to fix that onto there. Now with wet glue I have got a little bit of wiggle room. Make sure that it's all lined up, and I'm back to my trusty clips to just hold it in place. So while that dries a few moments, I'm going to bring in the things that I'm going to decorate with. So I have taken an Anita's foiled decoupage, and it has a large rectangle on the front. So I'm working on squares. So what I've done is I've measured the white area across here, and it was 12. So I've measured from the white area here down, and I've put a line across at 12. So put that to one side for the moment, and I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to cut across there. Now it's got a tiny black edge all the way round, so I'm not sure whether I'll keep that at the moment. But what you'll see is we did have silver all the way round, and now it looks odd. So I've got a piece of silver here, and I'm going to take the bottom piece of my topper and place that over. I haven't measured it at all, because what I'm going to do now is to line up my ruler, and I'm going to add a piece onto the bottom onto there. So I now have my topper that is more or less matching all the way round. We'll see later I'm going to put an extra little bit along the bottom that will diffuse the fact that it's not exactly the same as what is around the other bits. So let's come back into here. Now I could put that onto there, but what I've chosen is I've chosen some pink polka dot, and I've cut it 14.5 centimetres square, so that I've got a ½ centimetre all the way round. Okay. So I'm now going to place that on there and stick that down. Right, I'm going to use double-sided so that it doesn't move. I like to use alternative ways of glue, which are going to be the best option for what I'm doing at the time. Don't just stick to one. Right, so there is my topper. I've pulled the pink out to the outside, and we're now going to place that on the front of the card. So I can take my clips off now because it's dry, and we've now got a topper onto the front of the card. Let's ease that a fraction. There we go. So there's the front of the card. When we open it, yes, you can see this flat bit. So what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to have a writing panel on here. So I'm going to take my pink again. Now this is slightly less than half, so I'm going to look at that, and it is just under 16. That's very good. Right, so I'm going to cut 14.5 square, 14.5 square. That's going to tie in my background. There we go. So that. And because I'm going to make it a writing panel, I'm going to put a white square in. You can probably, some of you will have die cuts that you can use that are exactly the right size. Okay. And so that it's suitable for everybody, I'm just using the trusty cutter. So that was 14.5. Let's go there. So our inner flap is going to be 14.5 by 14 by 14, and the mat we've put on already is 14.5. So we're going 14, and check this way, it's 14. Keep all your bits until the end. So this one gives me a ½ centimetre all the way round. I've got a linen effect, so I want to make sure that the linen effect is going up and down. Okay, so there's my inner writing panel. Now let's have a look at these. If I bring back my samples, there are many ways of doing these. Every small panel needs 4 by 4 and 4 by 4.5 by 4.5 if you're not going to add the mat. So let's have a look at some of my samples. Now, if we have a look, the pink ones haven't got a mat, so I've cut those 4.5. Right. These ones here I've cut 4 by 4 and 4.5 as the pink mat behind. But if we have a look, this one I've got a long panel, I've got a double panel here, and I've got a square there. Now this one, if I put these three, we will see I've used the long panel, which is 9 by 4. I've used a larger square 9 by 9 and a mixture of smaller panels. So this one is 9.5 by 4.5. So let's put that one away. Let's bring this one in, which is the same layout. So we've got a long one, a small, a large square and small squares. Okay, and the rectangle. Now this one is different, right? Because when we open it, I've used small panels here, so there's no long rectangle here, but I've made these 2 larger squares. So you can make it whatever you like and make it fit. You could do single squares all the way along. It's entirely what you want to achieve, and also what you've got to use. So you can see this is a mixture of backing papers, plain colours, and I've picked up the colour here for a plain backer to show off the die cuts. These are new die cuts that we've just got into the workshop. So this was more of the new die cuts. Okay, so let's go back to this and let's see exactly what we've got to use before we decide how we're going to do our pieces. So I've got a large design. I've got a smaller design. Smaller design there. I've got a border. I've got 2 little tags. Got lots of little butterflies. Right, those 2 and that one aren't die cut, so there's one that's die cut. Okay, so at the moment, here's one. I'm only concentrating on what is die cut. If I really need to come back to it later, then there's a few little options there I can fussy cut. So I'm going to put that to one side. I'm not sure at the moment whether I'll use those. So put those out. Right, so let's start designing. There is my main one, and I think I'm going to do a large piece on here, so that was going to be 9 by 9 and a mat of 9.5. So let's go. I'm going to use a mixture. I've sorted out some dark green, which is going to be quite effective. So I think I'm going to use 9 by 9 in the pink spotty. So let's go. So it's lined up, 9 centimetres by 9, and I'm going to back it with a 9.5 square mat. Okay, I could have had it all done ready for you to shorten the video, but on this one I've decided to actually do it in real time. So there is my square, and I'm attaching that. Now see, we've got the score lines. Doesn't matter, because this is going to go onto there and cover them up, strengthen the card. Right, I've got no bits in here that I need to take out, so keep away from the creases. There we go. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put these, slide these up here so I can work on the rest. Right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do these pieces that face backwards. I'm going to do those as 4.5 by 4.5. So there'll be no mat. So there's 9, which I'm going to share there, and I'm going to check. This is just using up a scrap that I had. So there's 1. Four and a half. 2. And I'm going to cut another 4.5 strip. There. Now remember this bit I take off there. Now I have 3 4.5 centimetre squares, which will stay plain. 1, 2, 3. Now I need to decide whether I'm going to have another large panel, whether I'm going to have a smaller panel and this panel here. So I think we're going for a large one there. If I was going to this one, this would go straight in there. So I'm going for this one, I think. And I'm going to do, let's check what pieces I've got. I'm going to do 9 by 9. Nine and a half. By 9.5. Okay, so some nice easy measurements. And that one's going onto there. Okay. Don't forget, this is my writing panel, and I'm going to put a verse in there before we finish. So let's have a look what we've got left. I'm going to take my next biggest piece and let's check which way up. I think it needs to be that way. That's the way it is up on there. So we'll follow with their design. This actually would be nice with a die cut of a wheelbarrow with this overhanging. There we go. So that's onto there. Let's see what we've got left. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 panels, and I think I'm going to use those as this pink spot, and I'm going to put a green border around them. So using up my scraps, put that to one side for the moment. All these will be 4 centimetres square, so I'm cutting 4 centimetres, and then I'm going to do an 8. I'll see what that one is in a minute. So I've got 2 the right size. Let's see what that one came out as. Right, that one is too short. So I'm going to cut 8 and 4. Okay, so I've now got 4 pieces, which will do 1, 2, 3, 4. That's that. So now I need 4 pieces that are 4.5 for my mats. So there's 4.5. If you've got a punch, obviously that would make life easier. But like I said, I like to do the tutorials so that everybody is included regardless of how much equipment they've got. So there's 2. I can get another one out of that. I really dislike tutorials where you've got to go out and buy a lot of things and do exactly what they tell you to just for sales. So all the cards that I do are sort of basic cards that anybody can do with bits that they've got already in their stash. So if you've got a trimmer, things. Now I'm just wondering, this is double-sided, so No, I think I'll keep it to the spot. So I could have turned those over and had some that were a really bright colour. There we go. It's just slide a fraction. Right, so I go back to the first one. That's the order I did them in. And the only reason I do that is so that the glue has had a few moments to go off. Right, you can see how beautiful it's going to be. Put a little flower that's crept its way underneath. And our last panel to there. Right, I'm going to go and get my verse to go on this side and we'll be back. So I've now got my verse here, which is on adhesive background. And I'm going to place that slightly towards the top. You only get one chance of pressing it down, so do make sure it's straight to begin with. There we go. Burnish it down. Now, before I do anything else, I want to go back to the beginning. Fold that up, because if you remember, I said I wanted to diffuse this line along here, which wasn't quite the same. So I'm going to look here what I've got here. I've got that is the same as that. Right, I think I'm going to take the snail off. Get my little scissors in. I'm going to take that off, and I think I'm going to take that off there because that's another snail. Right, and I'm going to bring this just to extend that flow onto there. Let's take that off there, and I'm just breaking the line here. Right, now with the little snail, there's no reason why I can't put the extra snail on a sticky fixer. So let's take that. And we're just going to raise that to give a little point of interest on there. So I've noticed that there's another little snail there, which snails all over the place. So I'm going to snip that off. Right, so there's the front ready. Now I can concentrate on whatever I've got left here. Could even bring that tiny snail. Let's use him up. Again, bring the little snail in on there. So open this, and we're going to bring this one in, and I want to now just emphasize the verse. So I can bring that, layer it so that it's hugging the words there. And I'm then going to take a little butterfly and place my butterfly there so it's in on the words. There we go. So that now that it's completely made a nice bit around those, and I've got a few flowers here. Now that's quite a bright flower, so I can get away with it, I think, on there. And I'm just going to make it up with a few other flowers now. To bring that there, butterfly up there. Don't have to use all the bits, but that's too small to use. What were we left with there? There we go. There. So there is our card. I'm going to gently close it because the glue is still wet. Okay, but when you open it, you've got a lovely message and a lovely one. If you wanted to, you could put another piece over the back, but I don't think it needs it, and certainly when it costs a lot to post, that will stand up rigid and is a beautiful card to have a go at. So once again, I'd like to see what you make, and God bless you all.